The stories that we tell ourselves begin to latch onto our identity and rule our entire lives. In this video, I'll be talking about how we can break free from these stories and begin to create a new story so that we can begin to transform our life and live the lives that we wish to create. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Harold and welcome to The Sanctum. In this video, I'm going to talk about how our identity from an early age tends to become programmed by ourselves, by family and friends, and by society to latch on to various stories that we may be told or that we may tell ourselves about how life should be and how we should be. And these particular stories, once we begin to identify with them unconsciously, can begin to hold us down and prevent us from living fully and the lives that we wish to live. At the end of this video, I'll be sharing with you a technique that you can do to begin to loosen up these negative stories or narratives that we tell ourselves and get rid of them, thereby allowing us to write a new story, the story that we wish to tell ourselves, so that we can begin to change our lives and transform our lives in that direction. So what do I mean by the identity? So this identity is sort of like a filter that rules our life. Anything that we identify with becomes like a label that gets attached onto us. Now, as a therapist, I've seen so many clients where when they were growing up, either a parental figure or a teacher have told them that they will never amount to anything. And they've identified with that. And now 20 years, 30 years, 40 years may go by. And they begin to wonder why, whatever opportunity that comes into their life, they somehow seem to sabotage it. They sabotage relationships, sabotage their career, sabotage important opportunities. Because consciously they're not trying to do it, that consciously they want to succeed. But unconsciously, because they've got this label on their identity, this story that they've been told, that they will never amount to anything, begins to take over unconsciously. And for whatever reason, they start mucking up all their opportunities. Because their identity identified with that label of never being able to amount to anything. So like this, there are numerous stories, numerous labels that we are told by family and friends. It's not like that was their intention. Sometimes this is unconscious. By society, and even by us, by the experiences that we undergo in our lives, we give ourselves various labels too. And these labels control us in many ways. Now, there are positive labels. There are also positive stories that we tell ourselves, as well as there are negative stories. So we want to keep the positive ones. They may drive us in a particular direction, whereas the negative ones may tend to hold us back in this way, prevent us from becoming the version of ourselves that we want to become. This can even be in terms of an individual growing up in a certain family, and this family told them they need to become a lawyer, or they need to do a 9-to-5. They need to follow the society's norm. But maybe internally, their purpose, their reason for being, is to become a musician, or a famous chef, or something else, an artist. But because of this story that they've been told that they need to do this 9-to-5, they need to have a desk job, they need to make money, they need to become a lawyer, this becomes like an unconscious limitation that no matter what they try to do to follow their dream of becoming a famous chef or a musician or an artist or whatever, they somehow end up just being shifted back on that path of becoming a lawyer or working a desk job and a 9 to 5 because of that story that they have begun to identify with at such a young age. We all have these stories, but it's important to note that we can change these stories. These aren't forever. We can remove these stories. Our identity is just an illusion. It was created over a certain period of time. Just like this body. This body was also created over a certain period of time, depending on what we've been eating. You are what you eat, as well as other various things like genetic traits and things like that that develop our body in a particular way. In the same way, our identity too is a collection of various labels and aspects that we have collected from our parents and our environment in a certain way. So this can be changed, and these stories can be removed, and a new story can be created depending on where you wish to see yourself and what you want your life to be like. So I will now share with you a very powerful technique that I've used myself to remove these negative stories that have accumulated throughout my life, that have kept me bound from living the life that I want to live. And the more I did this exercise, and the more I began to write a new story, the more my life began to shift into the sort of life that I want to live. So this is the technique that you can do. Now I'm just going to outline it here on this video. However, if you want this in the form of a powerful guided meditation, I've made this guided meditation on my Patreon channel. You can find this as a brand new series called Guided Meditations. And this will be a collection of meditations on various topics that I will talk about in the future that we can use to begin to transform ourselves in every aspect. Some of them will be psychological in nature, some of them will be energetic in nature, some of them will be very spiritual in nature. So check that out if you rather follow it in a guided way. So this is how you do this technique. First, you want to sit down for a moment. Take a few deep breaths in and out to center yourself. Relax for a moment. And once you're ready, I would like you to imagine that you're standing in front of a door, and know that this door leads into a huge library. And on the shelves are many, many books. And know that these books are the various stories that you tell yourself, and that family and friends have told you, and society have told you. These are the various narratives that are ruling your life right now. And now I would like you to notice that inside of the library, in the corner, is a fireplace with a roaring fire. And on the other side is a large table, a desk with a chair which you can sit on, and a big golden bound book. But the book is empty. And around the book are various writing and drawing utensils. So what you want to do is, as you enter this, you imagine entering this library. You take a look at books. Make this as vivid as possible in your mind. And now you tell yourself, now you are trying to communicate with your unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind is that part of you that knows what all these stories are that are holding you back. You tell yourself, you tell your unconscious mind, I would like all of the stories, the negative stories that are holding me back, to now be pushed off the shelf. All those books that represent these negative stories, allow them to be pushed off the shelf and fall on the floor. And now imagine that various books are falling off the shelf and on the floor. These are the negative stories that you need to destroy. So now what you do is you collect all these books, trust your unconscious mind, know that this is what you need to let go of. And you don't have to worry, you're not going to, remove any memories or something like that. The memories will be there. But the stories, the negative stories that were created from those memories will be destroyed. So pick up all of those books and imagine throwing them into the fire. And of course, the element of fire purifies and destroys, but it is also a source of creation and illumination. So you're throwing them into the fire, and the fire is going to purify and destroy them. Okay. So now you walk up to the desk, you sit down, open up the golden bound book to the first page, pick up an appropriate writing or drawing utensil, and you're now going to write something that's going to represent your new story, whatever that might be to you. It may be a drawing that represents this new story that you're creating. So let's say an individual wants to become a famous chef. They might give a title to that story. They might draw an image that represents their new restaurant that they're now a 3 Michelin star chef of, whatever it might be. Know that there is no limit. It's limitless, and you can create whatever you wish to create. So you write or draw something symbolic that represents this new positive narrative of who you are in the first page. You close the golden bound book, and this is your new positive narrative. You've removed the limitations, and you're allowing this to become a possibility. And you take this and you place it in the appropriate place, wherever that might be to you, on the shelf in the library. And then you are done. You now leave the library through the door, close the door, and you can open your eyes. Now it helps to repeat this 21 times. On my Patreon, I have a guided meditation on this, where I guide you through the entire experience, making it as vivid as possible. And also I use various techniques to deepen the process and make it more powerful and potent for you. If you're somebody who prefers to be guided to do this, you can do so by finding this meditation on my Patreon channel. And you can find that on the screen in front of you or in the description box below. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you. Take care. See you very soon.